How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Infinite Sports on this Monday, on the day where the Knicks will be playing the Celtics. We're going to talk a little bit of basketball, and I am joined by Ben Upson. We are whole. I know I've been recording some episodes by myself, but today we got the full crew, the two of us, to talk Knicks Celtics briefly here, trying to figure out how to set this all up because we hit some snags along the way, but we were able to do it, and here we are. Ben, how are you doing today?
Kenny, fantastic, and happy Cinco de Mayo to you. Hopefully, the Knicks will be in a celebratory mood tonight in Boston.
Yeah, I hope so, because watching that Pistons series, so we'll talk about that briefly. That Pistons series was a grind. It was very exhausting for all the passionate Knicks fans. I consider myself more of a casual, but of course I'm locked in for the playoffs as well. I had the honor of going to game two. Now, that did not go so well for the Knicks. They did lose that game. But just to be there, and that was the first time I ever went to an NBA game, it was a great experience, and I hope, there's more games that I can go to in the future. But yeah, the series just was a grind, and it didn't look good at certain points, but they were able to get it done, and now they are taking on a Celtics team that is looking to repeat. And I think, at least for me, I think you'll probably say the same thing, but it might be inevitable that it happens. This Celtics team is really good. I know there was some talk that this team might not be the same next year. They might have to shed off a couple of players because of money constraints. But if they get it done this year, I mean, and what this team's been able to do, I mean, they'll probably be able to replace whoever they decide to get rid of. And obviously, they're not going to get rid of like their main guys, like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. But some of the other guys like Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis, those guys could be on the chopping block after this season. But Ben, what are your expectations for this series?
Well, first of all, I will jump back to that Knicks Pistons series, Kenny, just briefly, because like you said, both teams were put through the grinder. This is the playoffs. The NBA totally changes from the regular season to the playoffs. I mean, there are guys that'll play at half speed. There's always the load management issue that, has been basically a constant for years. But these were two teams, the Knicks and the Pistons, that were hungry to win a playoff series and, really wanted to do something with this postseason. And ironically, the Knicks, not only what was impressive about this series is they won it, but they won 3 games on the road in Detroit. And every single one was, closely contested. They won game 3 by 2. They won game 4 by 1 on that deep Karl Anthony Towns 3. And then they won by 3 in game 6 as well. So it was really a battle for both these teams, two of the most physical teams in the NBA. And great to see the Knicks come out on top. They made the big shots when it counted, and Jalen Brunson once again proved in that game 6 why he is Captain Clutch. Now, looking at this series, this is a much different animal. I mean, the way Orlando played Boston in the first round, Orlando definitely had, some good spurts in almost every game. They actually kind of hung around for about a half or so in basically every game of the series except maybe game 5 got away from them pretty quickly, and then it was an avalanche in the second half to end the series. But that was a closeout game. The difference was Orlando only has Paolo Banchero. The Knicks at least have 2 sources of offense that they can go through with Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And what's going to be critical in this series is that the Celtics have depth. They're the best three-point shooting team in the NBA, and they definitely have size. The Knicks are going to have perfection in almost every game from Karl Anthony Towns, and they're going to need Mikal Bridges to, continue to step up from his 25-point performance in Game 6, which is finally a welcome sight. As that series progressed with the Pistons, Mikal Bridges got at least a little bit better with each game, and it really culminated with that game-tying tip-in layup in Game 6 against Detroit. Like I said, the Celtics shoot the 3 ball so well. I mean, I'm pretty sure they average about 40 to 50 attempts per game from deep, and they're usually very efficient with that. So the Knicks are going to have to focus on the perimeter if they want to have any chance of winning this series to start. I mean, and they can get you in the paint too, because obviously, they have that size with Kristaps Porzingis, and Jason Tatum has the ability to drive down low and attack, and they run so many good sets offensively. That's what makes them such a dynamic team. And I don't think a lot of credit is given to Joe Mazzulla. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA. It's pretty evident. And like you said, this almost feels like a bit of a last blast for this core of Celtics players, because outside of Tatum and Brown, there's going to be some shifting likely in this offseason. But we're not there yet. While I think the Knicks can certainly get a game and maybe two in this series, and unfortunately, I just don't
And that
know
might
if
be
it's going to.
pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Even
it's
one,
just
you could say, could be pushing it.
it's just that the Celtics have so many weapons that they can utilize at any time, and I just don't know if the Knicks are going to be able to sustain it every night for 48 minutes. I mean, I expect them to compete. I expect them to at least stay in some of these games, but winning the series, unfortunately, I just don't see it right now. But hopefully, they prove us all wrong.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, it's just when we sat and watched, that Pistons series, it just seemed like every possession for the Knicks was a grind. Like it was just so tough. The Pistons played really tough defense on the Knicks, and obviously, they got bailed out a couple times with the heroics of course, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns with his two shots back in what was it? It was game 4 in Detroit. I mean, especially the one that he hit over the backboard. Like, I mean, that was unbelievable. But the other thing too is consistency. I just feel like at times you saw a lot of guys, they were just struggled to be consistent. Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, there were games where he just was a no-show. Like the game I went to, he finished with 10 points, and then he has the game that he had where he hit those two impossible shots in Detroit. Mikal Bridges, I think he's really good from his mid-range, but when he's shooting beyond the three-point line, that's where he's very inconsistent, and I think we were all hoping we were going to get a better player than what the Knicks got, because they gave up a lot of draft picks for him, a lot of first round picks for him, and I just feel like he has not delivered. So guys like him, guys like Towns, they're going to have to continue to step up. Josh Hart, we know he's going to do his thing. He plays like his hair's on fire. OG Anunoby, I thought, had a decent, a pretty good series. It's just guys are going to have to step up. And, when you look at the Knicks, they don't have the bench that the Celtics have, right? They're not the team that the Celtics are in general. I thought Mitchell Robinson at times, he stepped up, but from the free throw line, it's rough. It's rough to watch him from the free throw line. But he plays good defense. He's a rim protector. So, at least they have him. Deuce McBride has been disappointing. I feel like that hasn't been talked about a lot. I think we've talked about it amongst ourselves, in the group chat, but he's been disappointing. Cam Payne has this, he comes out of nowhere in game 1 when the Knicks went on that 21-0 run, and then he was a no-show after that. So, that was an aberration. It's just they're kind of playing with house money here in this series, right? Because nobody's really giving them a chance. I think they could definitely steal a game, but that's probably it. I think this is going to be a gentleman's sweep, at best for the Knicks, unless they surprise us, because they really struggled against these really good teams with them, with the Cavs. I mean, they were 1-3 against the Pistons in the regular season, and then even you look at the Western Conference and the records against those teams, like the Thunder. They went 0-2 against them. So, this is a chance for them to prove us wrong. This all started from opening night when the Celtics hit all of those threes against the Knicks. We got to see what the Knicks looked like with Towns and Bridges, but that was the Celtics. Like I said, they hit all those threes, and let's see what happens. But the Celtics are also a little bit banged up. They got guys that are banged up a little bit. Same thing with the Knicks too. I feel like both teams are coming in banged up, so maybe that can lean in the Knicks' favor with the Celtics being a little banged up. But then again, the last time they played them at the Garden, they were banged up, and the Celtics still won. So it doesn't really seem to matter. But all we could do is just hope, I guess, while we watch this series, and hope that the Knicks can, maybe like I said, prove us wrong, make the series competitive, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that is all we can really hope for. And I think you alluded to it. Kenny, the depth is going to be the significant difference in this series. I mean, there's a very high likelihood that we're going to see Brunson, Towns, Hart, all of these starters, playing north of 40 minutes every game because this is just what the Knicks are. I mean, and unfortunately, it's like across a season long, journey, it just doesn't necessarily feel right that, Tom Thibodeau is playing his guys so many minutes every night. And I understand that you want to put yourself in the best position and get the most amount of wins possible to, get yourself in a good spot in the postseason. But here we are. The Celtics have home court because it's a 2 versus 3. You're the 3, Boston's the 2. And, everybody's coming in really, tired and banged up after that Pistons series, which I thank goodness that didn't go 7 games. Because if there was a game 7 Saturday and the Knicks had to go up to Boston tonight, they probably would be losing by 50 tonight because it would just be it would be unbelievably advantageous to the Celtics because how physical of a series that was with Detroit. But I mean that's the thing. Campaign in game 1. We're gonna need a performance like that in one of these games. Karl Anthony Towns can't afford a 10-point, 15 rebound game like he did in game 2. Mikal Bridges can't miss a pair of wide open threes like he did down the stretch in game 2. There's going to need to be moments and shots that have to fall for the Knicks. And look, I will say, I think Tom Thibodeau's job is safe now. But if they had lost to the Pistons last round, I think there was actually a legitimate possibility that Tibbs could have been fired at the end of the season. Just because, this is now the 4th straight year that the Knicks have made the second round of the postseason. But unfortunately, they haven't been able to get to a conference finals yet. And, granted, it's like the way that the structure of the NBA is and the Eastern Conference, it's like the Knicks have always been there. They just haven't been at that elite level yet because they're still missing, one other star. Jalen Brunson is a star. Karl Anthony Towns is pretty close to it, but he's not the Jaylen Brown to Jason Tatum. He's not the Jamal Murray to Nikola Jokic. There's other teams that have that second guy, and while Cat is really efficient and certainly, is an upgrade to this team and this roster, he's not quite the consistent second guy. And I'm not saying he can't. He absolutely can. And the Knicks are going to need that full potential from him in this series. Like I said, it all starts tonight here on Monday. Game 2 will be Wednesday, and then luckily when they go to the Garden for Game 3, there is a day off, and that game will be on Saturday. So hopefully what the next strategy should be is just aim to get one in Boston. I mean, that's the only thing you can really do. And then see what you can do on home court. Because if you just get it to the Garden 1-1 somehow, I mean, anything is possible with that crowd and that atmosphere. So, like I said, if the Knicks can guard the 3 well from Boston, and they get those significant role player performances, they will have a shot probably. I mean, even then, it would still take a Herculean effort. But
Everything's got to be perfect. And
I'm
it's just
giving
not
him
going to
I'm
happen.
giving him I'm giving him a game, Kenny, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got 2. But I think I'm gonna side with you and say probably gentleman's sweep here.
Yeah. And also just like even going back to the Pistons series, like especially in the final game, they had a double digit lead twice, I think in that game. And they gave it up. They gave it up. So imagine like they have a double digit lead. You're not going to feel confident about it. and especially against this team, the Celtics. So it's just yeah, it's a tall task. It's a tall task. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it looks. But yeah, maybe things will be different. Maybe things will be different. But yeah, so a quick little episode here. Again, we were experiencing some difficulties trying to put this together, but happy we were able to do it. We'll try to have both of us back on um, doing shows each week. I have a Yankee recap that I want to get into later that I will try to get out. But yeah, I wanted to cover some NBA. Happy to do it with my co-host. We're back, so hopefully we can continue this. But any last remarks, Ben, before we wrap up?
Well, other than good luck to the Knicks, and very excited to see what the playoffs hold for the second round. There's some really good matchups now that we've
Playoffs have been good so far.
both sides, NBA and NHL, very good competition.
Yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up. So as always, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder along with Ben Upson signing off. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you guys next time.